You're listening to the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcast, a platform for meaningful conversations on governance, democracy, and development. From policy discussions to citizen perspectives, we explore key topics like electoral reforms, economic policies, and human rights. Join the conversation on YouTube, Spotify, and our website. Stay informed, stay inspired.
Welcome to the second part of the episode on corruption. This is the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues. Our conversation today, which is the second phase of our conversation on corruption, is Ghana ready to win the fight? Join our guest shortly as we have this conversation. Emmanuel, what is wrong with the institutions that we set up? And when we do, like the Office of the Special Prosecutor, whose job is well cut out, that office is supposed to deal with corruption. So why are we still recording a lot of these cases?
Well, I think if you look at how many laws Ghana has against corruption, we have so many laws. We have so many institutions that are supposed to be anti-corruption. Recently, I've been doing very deep, insightful comparisons between Ghana and Denmark, for instance. Ghana depends heavily on Denmark for aid. We've had Danida supporting Ghana for so many years. I remember about probably 7 years ago or so, Danida celebrated 10 years of assisting Ghana, and they produced a brochure, and it captured how much funding Danida had given to Ghana. Denmark sponsors a lot of PhDs from Ghana in agriculture, in political science, in sociology, in medicine, and so on and so forth. Danida supports a lot of water projects. Danida also actually funds the school feeding program, for instance. But Danida doesn't have, in fact, I even tried to compare the oil wealth that Ghana has and what Danida has. Ghana has far more oil reserves than Denmark has. For instance, Denmark's oil reserves are in the millions and Ghana's is in the billions, And yet, when you look at the position of Denmark on the corruption perception index, Denmark is like the fifth less corrupt country in the world. It stands at the fifth position. Ghana keeps deteriorating every year, for instance. But Denmark only has one law against corruption, which doesn't even mention corruption. It just talks about bribery. There is not a single anti-corruption institution in Denmark, not one. I have searched and searched, I can't find. I have a Danish friend. We talk every time. In fact, he's in Ghana. We're supposed to have had lunch today, but he hasn't been feeling very well. We talk about, he loves Ghana. For instance, he is able to travel and come to Ghana every now and then for holidays. I can't go to Denmark. Why is that so? And yet, if I compare Ghana's oil wealth to Denmark's oil wealth, Ghana has far more. So, in reality, Ghana is actually wealthier than Denmark. You can look at all the economic indicators. Why are we poor? Because everything is being stolen through corruption. The public institutions don't work. I mean, I've been to Copenhagen before. The law and order, the well laid out roads and streets. There are roads for pedestrians, there are paths for bicycles and motorbikes, and then there are roads for vehicles. We can't even afford to have decent roads in Accra. You can't travel today as we speak from Accra to Kumasi. And yet we have the money to fix all the Accra-Kumasi roads. Where is the money going to? Evans and Francisca talked about institutional corruption. If you're going to look for building permits today, I mean, so far, I have only found one district assembly where they do this. I don't know if it is prevalent. Maybe we would have to do more and find out. So for now, we have not even started digging deeper yet. But you want to go and apply for building permit, they will tell you point blank, you are paying 1,500 cedis but we are only giving you a receipt for 150 cedis. Then you ask them why. And they are bold enough to tell you, well, the official fee is 150. But we have to do some more work. We have to go on the internet. We have to do mapping. We have to do this. We have to travel to the site and do inspection and blah, blah, blah. And then we have to submit a document at the, district office. But the assembly doesn't provide us with all this. How true is this? You mean the district assembly does not provide, resources for its offices around the communities, in the municipalities to do their work, and they have to charge unofficial fees to do the work that you are paying them to do? But they tell you this: you pay 1,500, but we will give you a receipt for 150. Maybe we need to do more to see if this is prevalent. So for now, this is from just one municipal assembly office for a locality. Increasingly, it's like, do whatever you can to make money because there are no repercussions. All the stories my colleagues have shared, you go and expose corruption, and you even would end up feeling threatened because the corrupt people are free. Sometimes it's embarrassing. You spend your time, you spend resources. In fact, sometimes the funding for the investigation doesn't even come from Ghana because it's difficult to find money in Ghana to do investigations like that. So some foreign organization, some foreign donor, some foreign grant-making organization gives you the money. You risk your life. You take all the trouble. You expose corruption. And the next moment, the corrupt person is walking somewhere. Sometimes you are sitting in Trotro and he is driving a very comfortable car in the middle of town somewhere. It happens every day. In 2013, we broke a story about how Zoom Lion, for instance, was found guilty of corruption by the World Bank for engaging in corruption in Liberia and Sierra Leone. And Zoom Lion was banned for 3 years. You would have thought that the Ghana government would take action against a company like that. But consistently, Ghana government, Zoom Lion has become Ghana government's biggest client. What message are you sending? What signal is the government itself sending? We have Yoko, we have Raj, we have Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, we have Ghana Integrity Initiative. How many? We are still creating more anti-corruption organizations. And yet, we are not going far with corruption. It turns out that people who engage in small bits of corruption are the ones that get punished. But those who involve in grand corruption, graft, they walk free. Those journalists who, for us, it's a constitutional obligation to do our job. As a matter of fact, some of us don't even get paid. Some of us are working pro bono. We don't get paid. We survive doing handy jobs. We are like, you need to do you have to have like 2-3 extra jobs outside journalism to be able to survive. We don't get paid by the journalism we do. Maybe my colleagues are lucky to have full-time employment, so they get paid every month. But I don't think they are paid well enough. We are literally surviving. And yet we are the ones going out there and exposing corruption. And then you get the impression that the state institutions that are set to actually fight the canker don't seem to be doing much. I don't think they are not doing anything. But are we seeing the effectiveness of their existence? Are we seeing the effectiveness of their work? I don't think we are. Because people engaging in corruption don't see any repercussion coming. So they got ahead and they continued doing it. I remember when I was studying for my undergrad and I took a class in social in sociology. Professor Abuchi teaches criminology, and one of the things I've never forgotten when he was teaching and he said was that when there is no prompt, efficient, timely, effective punishment for crime, people will be emboldened to continue to commit crime. We are not punishing people promptly. We are not punishing people efficiently and effectively. And so people get away with it. If people feel that they can get away with doing wrong, they would definitely be incentivized to do that. Look, most of the journalists who are going out of their way and exposing corruption are very, very young. Evans, Francisca, Frederick. I'm probably a bit older. I'm having been in this for 35 years and I'm still doing it. And I have people telling me, why are you wasting your time? I've met other journalists tell me, why are you wasting your time doing this kind of journalism? It's dangerous. You could do the other journalism where you can even easily get money. You go and cover events and you get paid 500, 200. If you cover 4 events in a week and you are paid 500, that's 2,000 cedis. It will at least buy lunch for you. But I'm spending time doing other work that actually exposes you to danger. Evans is a young man, and in his formative years of his journalism, he takes the risk and exposes corruption, and nothing happens. What do you think that does to his psyche? He gets discouraged. So the institutions are there, but how effective are they? Sometimes when you even hear them, the leaders of the institution talk, they themselves are lamenting. They are under-resourced. The office of the special prosecutor is under-resourced, and he faces strong opposition from government. In fact, the biggest opposition to the special prosecutor is coming from government, elected and appointed government officials and assigns of ruling governments. They make it impossible for them to work. Sometimes they even plant people in these offices to ensure that the offices do not function. And state and government officials refuse to release information to them. Increasingly, you will even find that it's the same with the right to information law. You could make a demand through right to information, and some offices would insist they won't give you that information. Sometimes they even go to court to try and refuse giving you the information that is in the public interest. Everybody is trying to cover corruption. Increasingly, the impact of corruption is eating us. It's eating into the very fabric of our society.
Right. So, Frederick, just on the back of that, and real quick on this one, how do we help strengthen? And when I say how do you, as investigative journalists, strengthen these institutions to deliver real accountability?
Okay. So I
And that should include the media. Let's include the media in this. Yes.
I wonder whether it is we the journalists who should strengthen the institutions, or it should be the other way around, where the institutions help journalists to strengthen our work and our oversight.
But as we can see now, they're not.
And coming, on the back of what Emmanuel said, let me give you a couple of things that will shock you. And I'm giving you some data I am privy to from the OSP. In 2022, the OSP received 136 complaints. And the number of investigations it concluded out of the 136 were 5. In 2023, the OSP received 169 complaints. They completed 4 investigations. As we speak, they do not have a single closed case, or they have not attained even one prosecution. And that is the reality that we have. But in strengthening the institutions, journalists can only continue to do our work and expose. And soon Corruption Watch will publish something on the RTI that Emmanuel alluded to. And you will be shocked what the institutions are doing as far as RTI is concerned. The kinds of monies they are even paying in penalties for refusing to give information that journalists request for. You will be shocked. I think that we just need to do one particular thing, which is a demonstration of the political will. And I want to borrow something that Professor Prempe has been talking about. He's been given this formula of corruption, where corruption is equal to, I think, is it monopoly plus opportunity all over accountability or something like that. Okay. As long as there is opportunity and there's some kind of monopoly by a certain group of people, we will not have accountability. And in this case, I'm talking about the institutions. Take the OSP. It is the newest of them, and it was created specially because we all complain that because the Attorney General is basically the government's legal person, he might not prosecute people in government. Therefore, we needed to hive off some power, some of the powers of the Attorney General, and give to a different officer. And we created the OSP. The first person that occupied it only gave us a corruption risk report, in which we told us who was the mother serpent of corruption and so on and so forth. The second person came and said he had to retool basically make the office functional. He's had the support to recruit more than 200 staff. But these are the figures I've read to you about the number of complaints they have received and the number of cases that they were able to complete. And the one that shocks me is recently when the OSP invited somebody to their office, I think over an allegation that the person had made or something. And I don't know when the OSP started questioning people over speech. Maybe they've forgotten that long ago we repealed the criminal libel law. And therefore, whatever you say is no longer criminal. So what are the tools that they need as institutions? There are 4 of them that, any research you do, you'll be told. The legal frameworks, we have all of them. And that's the paradox of this country. We have all the laws, yet we don't have laws to deal with corruption. When I say we don't have laws, it means we have refused to see that we have laws that we can implement against corruption. And that's the paradox. They need technological tools. And for technological tools, I don't know if you are aware that the Shraj and his partners recently launched the evaluation report for NACAP. And in that evaluation report, if you read the executive summary, they talk about the challenges that some of the institutions had and had to do with access to technology and internet. So in that sphere, maybe I would say that they don't have the tools, then that what we can do as journalists will be to continue through our work to continue to advocate and make sure that they get those technological tools. But citizens' engagement, they have all the support of the public. Evans spoke about some of the even illegal mining. Look at the amount of support that Ghanaians have for government to do the right thing as far as illegal mining is concerned. We've been having discussions, and I've seen Africa Education Watch leading it, on perceived corruption in the public schools, where public institutions, public educational institutions, basic, are charging students examination fees, unapproved examination fees. And they've charged some this term, and I do know at least one student who has paid 15 cedis or so as examination fee. And yet, nobody, I saw that a statement from the GES director who says he's now going to check all the schools, and then all schools who have collected money, ask them to refund. Is he saying that he's never been aware of it? When we are hearing about it, so they have the citizen support. All the institutional reforms, I'll say, have also been done. So if we are talking about even what they need, perhaps it's only technological tools that we need to enhance for them. As for the money that Emmanuel talks about, well, we don't have enough. And we are never going to have enough. But I don't think the fact that the funds are not sufficient should limit any of the anti-corruption institutions from doing their work. Shraj did a fantastic work on the complaint that was submitted by the MP for North Tongue, Okujeto Ablakwa, on the National Cathedral. They released their report, and other institutions are supposed to do other legs of work on that. We saw Shraj also do the ABAJ report, where they recommended to the president, to remove him and also sanction him and bar him from public office. Others were supposed to do the other legs of that work. What happened? We heard later on that, well, at some point, he was able to access his account again and he took out the money that was in the account. That doesn't have to do with money or funds to be able to enforce, let's say, freezing orders of somebody's account. So in some cases, I do believe that a lot of it has got to do with the lack of political will and too much political interference. And all that we as journalists can do is to continue to push and push and push and make sure that the right people are at the helm of affairs in all of these institutions.
All right, just a sentence. How can the media itself be strengthened to deliver on accountability?
Well, the intimidation against journalists and the media should stop. Media should receive, I think private sector should consider funding media. A number of people have attempted to set up funds to support investigative journalism in this country, but our private sector has not been supporting. And I believe that the private sector should support.
Francisca, I want to talk to you about oral. You've dealt with a lot of ordinary Ghanaians, and we know that when corruption thrives, is the ordinary poor Ghanaian who suffers. Is oral the solution? How far do you think it will go?
The truth of the matter is that a lot of the public, when you are doing a story and you really raise the topic, first of all, they tell you, oh, they trivialize it, they make it, it's like the public have actually accepted these corrupt things as a part of us and do not really see why we should even report on them. When oral was set up, first of all, we had a concern of the political motivation and all that, whether it was going to be witch hunting and all. But at least they opened it up for the public to do the reporting, calling to give what they should work on and all that. I was hoping that the oral thing would have been done in a way of a pistol blowing, where the people who gave this information to oral will get some incentives, will get something out of it. And it will push people. For instance, with publishing that, okay, oral said 2,417 people gave complaints to them. Some came in petitions, some came in direct phone calls, emails, and all that. So if 2,417 people gave oral complaints, and out of the cases that all these people gave, oral gave us a figure of about $20.49 billion in value for just 36 cases. Now, if we are supposed to treat this like a whistleblowing sort of action, and we give these people who did the whistleblowing, we give them something as an incentive, for instance, and we would publicize it that, oh, somebody reported this case, we've been able to recoup maybe $10 million as a result. The Whistleblower Act requires that we give the person somewhere around 10% of whatever it is we made out of it. So out of the 10 million, this is the amount we are giving the person. We publicize it. I think people will be very much interested in whistleblowing. But I don't think they involve whistleblowing in this whole overall thing. And I was very excited that they brought people like Bebu Martin Kodu who will speak about it no matter who it is that is in charge. He was brought as a member of this, the oral team. But as we speak, he criticizes government when they do something wrong. And if we have such people controlling things in the country, I think it will go a long way to help us. The idea of oral is very interesting, and the actions they've taken so far, at least they've shared videos of some of the facilities they've visited, some of the things they've discovered, and all that. Unfortunately, the members of ORA have all been appointed, and so going forward, I think it's collapsed since the president handed it over to the Attorney General. However, handing it over to the Attorney General, I'm concerned a bit about the whole oral thing because this is the same Attorney General who has let go of many cases that were running before they came into power. And if you think that those cases lack merit, I don't see it as in the place of the Attorney General to let go of those cases. If you think it lack merit, whatever it is, I think if you are being handed the oral cases to work on, if the Attorney General had allowed cases that were running before NDC came into government to run, and if the cases lack merit, at the end of the day, it will be thrown out of court. If that process was to be allowed to flow, it would have given us some level of hope that the Attorney General is going to do some good work. But if he's thrown away so many cases, he's freed so many people, I don't see how he's going to be effective working on these oral cases. Is it going to be able to strictly deal with issues? On what basis? Because you let go of people, and the people you let go of, some of them, their cases were corruption related, and you let go of them, and you didn't let it go through the legal process for whoever has to be punished, be punished. If we had to get reimbursements, refunds, whatever, we get it. You didn't do it. You let go of them, and now you have other cases of corruption. Are you going to pursue those cases because it is all around and most of the cases has to do with the opponent? And so the oral was a great idea. What they've done so far, I'm impressed. The only problem I have with the oral thing has to do with the fact that the Attorney General threw cases away and he is supposed to manage the oral cases for us. That bit of it is decided.
And Evans, what do you think ordinary Ghanaians are interested in? Recovering the loots or being punished?
Then we are interested in both. I'm a recovering.
I think they are interested in both. And I think recovering the loot, a lot of people do not understand this grand corruption and things. A lot of people do not understand the implication on their personal lives. Many Ghanaians do not understand the implication of corruption on their lives. They do not understand how it blocks access to so many basic things. They do not understand. And so when you are talking about recovering something, they are interested in those of them who are on social media and all that. Yes, they are a bit more enlightened. They understand some of the issues. So you see that on social media, you can see that people are interested in recovering the loot. But when you come to the streets, the ordinary Ghanaians, a lot of people do not care whether you are going to recover any loot because they do not see how that affects them directly.
All right, Evans, let's have your say on this.
I think that they are interested in both because, if you're able to recover the money and we're able to put them into some good use to either raise social services and all that. But I think more importantly too, people are also interested in how people who plunder public resource are punished so that they serve as a deterrent to others. That's why I raised the issue with the government's decision to deport the foreigners who are engaging in illegal money. These are people who are destroying our environment. And the best we could choose to do now as a state was just deport them. It means that they will engage in the crime, get the money from the crime, and then repatriate the money to their various nations, and then they get deported, and then go back to, enjoying the money that they make, as a proceed of crime from our country. I don't think that serves as a good example to anybody at all. And like I said, I think that these monies are monies that could be used for other things that are important for our progress as a country. And so I think people are interested in both. They want to see the recovery and they want to see the prosecution as well to serve as a deterrent to others. So that's my opinion.
I've got a minute, and so I'll give 30 seconds to you each, Emmanuel and Frederick, on this issue of oral and whether or not it is the way to go.
Mama Lee, I have tried very hard not to comment on oral because I think there's too much propaganda in our governance to the extent that you don't believe what governments say. I'll give you an example. Frederick gave the example of the former CEO of the Public Procurement Authority. In 2001, there was a committee set up called the Justice Adade Committee that found that while he was the procurement manager of Ghana Water Company, he had purchased letterheads to last 100 years for some of the districts. And then an amount of 800 million old Ghana cedis was found to have been paid to some company somewhere that couldn't be traced. And then another 3 billion couldn't be traced in the accounts of Ghana Water. And the committee gave recommendations that he should be prosecuted together with some other individuals. But what happened? A new government comes into office and then he reappears and heads the procurement authority. Again, it tells you that our institutions are either inconsistent, they are not growing, they lack institutional memory, and are not fit for purpose. Because for someone who has been found culpable and declared, as to be prosecuted by a competent committee headed by a justice of the High Court, we should have the records. But before we knew it, he has been reappointed in government. It happens all the time. People commit offenses at one time, then they go underground, and before you know, they resurface somewhere. You go into our parliament, you might find people with criminal records who have resurfaced somewhere, somehow found money to campaign, and they've been elected. They are in parliament. So the question is, do we have the political will to fight corruption? Are our institutions independent enough to do their job without interference? Otherwise, we are doing what someone might call work done in zero, right? I don't know if it's the right expression, where people are putting in effort and acting and pretending to be doing something. It's been 3 months of the new government. We've had people arrested and prosecuted in this country within 24 hours and jailed. It's been 3 months. Nobody has been put before court, properly been tried yet. I mean, how long are we going to be going about this, holding people accountable, fighting corruption? For me, it's more propaganda than any serious attempt at punishing people for committing corruption. Because, mind you, it's a new government. Somebody told me this morning, let's give them at least 2 years. They have 4 years. Are they going to be corrupt too? Or would they be better than the previous government? For all you know, somebody is already cooking some corruption somewhere. It's yet to come out. So there is really no commitment to corruption. And if you look at how people are cheering people who are being appointed to public office, as if it's an achievement, why are people cheering people for being appointed in public office? People who, when there is a new government, they have to be kicked out of office. Is it an achievement to be appointed in public office? Why? Is it because they will be making more money? How? So we really are not clear about what we want to do with corruption. And for me, I think that if we really want to show the will that we are dealing with corruption, 3 months, January, February, March, April, by now, there should have been enough concrete evidence on at least 1 or 2 people who are facing trial. But there is none yet.
All right, Emmanuel, that was more than 30 seconds. So, Frederick, maybe half of 30 seconds.
I am for any attempt to recover money. It's one of the things that we advocate for at Corruption Watch, that people who engage in corruption must be punished and there must be payback of whatever has been taken from the state. So I am for it. But as far as oral is concerned, I will say give time. Thank you.
Give time. Well, I think that is a good way to end this conversation. Time will tell. Thank you so much, Frederick Isiama, as an investigator with Corruption Watch. You also have been listening to Francisca Enchel, investigative journalist as well. And we've had Evans Aziamo Mensah, He's with Code for Africa. And then, of course, Emmanuel Dobevi, who is a Ghanaian investigative journalist recognized for his extensive work on anti-corruption and in other sectors as well. I think it's been a very fruitful conversation. So thank you very much for joining us in this episode on corruption. Is Ghana ready to win the fight? Well, I guess the answer is clear now. So thank you for making a date on the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues. My name is Mama Vioswabwade. We thank you all for listening.
Thank you for listening to the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcast. Stay engaged, stay informed, and be part of the conversation on governance, democracy, and development. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and visit our website for more insightful discussions.